war on cancer hoax. Billions of dollars have been invested in cancer research, and yet, instead of cancer rates falling, they have skyrocketed. In the early 1900s, 1 in 20 people developed cancer. Today, it's 1 in 3. That's pathetic. Are they researching how to cure cancer or how to give everyone cancer? And I think we know the answer to that one. House of Lords under fire for out of control expenses as bill hits 23 million. And this is just their food and drinks bill. You know, while the rest of us have to scrape together money to be able to eat and drink, these lot waste 23 million a year on it. The House of Lords is facing criticism after it was revealed peers' expenses claims have risen by 29% in a year, taking the total bill to 23 million. According to the Sunday Times, the average tax-free bill by members of the upper chamber were around £31,000, with 31 claiming over £77,000. But the Lords defended its cost, claiming the rise is due to the increase in the number of days at the House sat. Bullshit. They're just thieving, robbing, no good bastards, the lot of them. Baroness Bennett, a democratically elected Lord, would allow proper checks on the Commons. Boris Johnson to hand peerages to Brexiteers to rebalance pro-Remain House of Lords. Labour slams closed elite as majority of peers now privately educated. The news comes as it's sized to set this to swell to 834, the largest number of peers in 2 decades. They are also set to get a pay rise in March of 3.1%, taking their daily allowance to £323 a day for nothing. For doing absolutely nothing, they get £323 a day. SNP MP Kirsten Oswald criticised his decision in the Commons last week, pointing out the daily rate was the same as the monthly payout of universal credit claimants. Yeah, that puts it in perspective. The Sunday Times analysers found that one peer, Lord Cunningham, claimed $79,000 last year while making just 17 spoken contributions in the House. And Lord Paul claimed $48,000 expenses despite his £2 billion family fortune and spoke only once in the chamber. Millionaire Lord Bartier, who has previously been suspended from the House over expense claims, cashed in £44,530 in expenses after turning up 149 out of the possible 161 days, yet did not address the House or sit on a committee. More than 110 peers did not make any spoken or written contribution to the House during the year to March. It was found but claimed a total of more than £1 million. Why do we put up with this shit? A spokesperson for the House of Lords says the increase in the costs of House of Lords allowance in the 2018-19 financial year is largely due to a 25% increase in the number of days that the House sat, raising from 129 in 2017-18 to 161 in 2018-19. As members of the Lords can generally only claim allowances for days they attend the House, an increase in sitting days is likely to produce an increase in the cost of members' allowances. They also defended the upper chamber's record, adding the House of Lords is a busy and effective revising chamber which does an important job scrutinising legislation and holding the government to account. Bullshit. In the period covered by the Sunday Times article, it made 2,513 changes to legislation. Members tabled 8,072 written questions and 153 reports were produced by the committee. If this doesn't show you how corrupt the whole system is, while these low-life scumbags are getting over 300 quid a day for nothing, and as was said, that's the equivalent of someone on Universal Credit's monthly allowance, and they get that a day. Fury has £4 billion British foreign aid budget used fixing potholes abroad. Furious campaigners have slammed the government for spending nearly $4 billion of foreign aid money on improving infrastructure in countries such as Pakistan and India, including railway and potholes in the road. A new report from spending watchdog, the Independent Commission for Aid Impact, revealed taxpayers have bankrolled a $265 million cash injection to improve roads in Pakistan. Further, 37 million was spent on projects on the Indian continent in order to provide access to better quality transport by upgrading roads and cities in rural areas. Fury has erupted over the findings, while Britain's own transport infrastructure, plagued by work and delayed timetables, appears to get worse. We are literally making electricity out of thin air. UMass develops groundbreaking technology that will change the way we power electrics. Soon, having to replace batteries or spend time recharging your phone could be a thing of the past. Scientists in Amherst are developing a new technology that will use the moisture from the air to create a charge. The device is still in early stages, having only been made public on Monday on the UMass website. It uses a natural protein to create electricity from moisture in the air and could have significant implications for the future of renewable energy, climate change and the future of medicine. In layman's terms, we are literally making electricity out of thin air, said the laboratories of electrical engineer Jun Yao. The AirGen generates clean energy 24/7. Yao and microbiologist Derek Lovely have created a device they call an AirGen, or an air-powered generator, with electrically conductive protein nanowires produced by the microbe Geobacter. The AirGen connects electrodes to the protein nanowires in such a way that electric circuit is generated from the water vapour naturally present in the atmosphere. The Catholic Church is a criminal enterprise and guilty for 600 years of rape and genocide. The rotten, foul stench of the Roman Catholic Church, which holds sway over 1.2 million members around the world, who claim to have an infallible link to the mind of God in all matters of faith and morals, can no longer be hidden by the scent of incense burned at Sunday Mass. As an imperialist criminal enterprise worth billions of dollars of stolen wealth, the bloody hands of the Catholic Church can be found in the enslavement of African people, the genocide of the indigenous people, and the continued colonial domination of the majority of humanity by white people. Today, the Catholic Church, like US imperialism itself, faces a crisis that calls into question its very existence. The Catholic Church has historically been the arbiter that parceled out whole peoples and continents and massive resources to European colonizers, including itself. It vilifies the action of and struggles of oppressed and colonized people while upholding, obscuring and justifying the rape, murder and exploitation by the white colonizers. Some of the saints of the church, such as Father Jupiter Serra, are known perpetrators of slaughter and genocide. Catholic Church is something else that needs to be abolished. The Vatican needs to be open to the public. The Vatican Library and the Vatican secret vaults where all the technology is hidden should be made public as well. UK baby forced removal at gunpoint after parents refused to vaccinate. Luke Maguire and Louise McKever claim son Bobby was injured by Bexero meningitis B vaccine. Video uploaded to FB shows Bobby having seizures after the jab has had over 3 million views and 44,000 shares. After refusing further vaccines, they were harassed by police and social services. Social workers told parents that if they stopped talking about vaccines publicly, they would stop hounding them. But baby Bobby stolen at gunpoint in Sunday morning police raid after Luke was falsely arrested for being in possession of a firearm. The family believe they've been set up. A heartbroken young couple tell of their despair after their son has been snatched in terrifying police. In a radio interview last week, 27-year-old father of one, Luke Maguire, describes how the police and social services hounded his family over a period of 3 days, then turned up with social workers and removed 20-month-old Bobby after saying that he was in danger because his parents were paranoid and were refusing to vaccinate him. Last December, the Sun ran a story about the side effects of Bobby baby Baby Bobby suffered immediately after having the controversial Bexero meningitis B vaccine when he was 16 weeks old. But the problem started when he was given the first dose at 8 weeks of age. At the 2-month vaccine, Bobby developed a twitch. Dad Luke said during a radio interview, we knew straight away it was from the vaccine as it started that night. He was sleepy, floppy and pale, but after we alerted the nurse to the twitching, they assured us that vaccines were 100% safe. Lies, utter lies. Mr Maguire and his partner Louise McEver, 23 from Ashington, Northumberland, were adamant Bobby wasn't going to have a second round of vaccines. At the time, they hadn't done any research into vaccines, but they instinctively knew that it was the vaccine that were to blame for their child's symptoms. When the couple mentioned their concerns, they were told that they had to get the vaccines done or that they would get a court order to remove Bobby from their care, so they reluctantly agreed. Bribery, blackmail and corruption. That's how they're doing it these days. Floody Mad UK has given 8 million of flood aid to India, China and Brazil, so why are deluge-hit Brits being forsaken? Almost 8 million of British taxpayers' money has gone to flood defence schemes in countries abroad in the past 4 years, a Sun on Sunday probe has found. Yesterday, angry locals in flood-ravaged Pontypridd in South Wales hit out at our shocking findings, saying they have had no help. Zero, zilch, nada, nothing. The government has splurged the millions on projects as part of our controversial foreign aid budget. One initiative in Brazil, which aims to improve the quality of flood-related data, has received £360,000 and £1.5 million was funded a study on how to help protect people from flooding in India, which has a $3 billion space programme. Our revelations come as flood-ravaged homeowners clear the mayhem left behind by Storm Dennis. It has wreaked towns and villages in Herefordshire, Worcestershire, Gloucestershire and South Wales. The devastation has left to criticism of Boris Johnson and his government and calls for more money to beef up flood defences here. Spend money here. Among the hardest hit in the town of Pontypridd, where locals complained they had no money spent on them. Hairdresser Louise Bedgood, whose salon was swamped by floods, hit out at our revelations. Her business has been left devastated, with insurers refusing to cover their contents and equipment. Louise, 44, said, "I'm surprised they're spending money abroad. They clearly need to improve defences and spend money here." Government aid documents show vast sums of money have been channelled all over the world to fund flood protection schemes. In the past 4 years, 17 flood prevention projects have been funded to the tune of £7.6 million. The scheme are run alongside academics and scientists from some of the UK's top universities. But if you're in this country, you can just drown because they don't give a shit about any of us. Nothing. And if you can't see that yet, well, maybe you are brainwashed. Police boss says UK should regulate cannabis and allow home grows. A UK police boss has said that the UK should regulate cannabis and people should be allowed to grow a small amount in their own home. Arthur Jones, the Police and Crime Commissioner for North Wales, has long advocated the legislation of drugs. In 2017, he visited Portugal to learn about the country's decriminalisation model and has more recently visited Uruguay to find out more about how the UK could regulate cannabis. Following his letter to the Home Office requesting that the UK cannabis patients not be persecuted, Jones spoke to Medical Cannabis Network about his views on regulating medical cannabis. Jones said that the UK government should adopt a new regulatory model, begin selling cannabis in pharmacies and assist those who with previous drug convictions to help them back into work. He also said that the UK should allow people to grow their own cannabis and follow a model similar to the Spanish cannabis clubs. Regulating cannabis in the UK. Jones believes that the UK's approach to drugs needs to change. He said, In my policing career, I have never met anyone who has caused violence through cannabis, as opposed to the hundreds of violent cases I've seen related to alcohol, which is legal substance. The penny dropped for me many years ago when I thought, why are we doing all this? I know many people who use cannabis, both medicinally and recreationally. They hold down but good jobs and are good people. Disgraceful DWP. DWP confirms it finds people fit to work even when holding evidence they may die as a result. That means they are committing absolute murder. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. They know it's going to kill them and they do it anyway. Imagine falling ill, burning through your life savings and end up having to claim benefits. Even worse, falling ill, having no savings because you've worked at minimum wage all your life and ending up having to claim universal credit. One man with osteoarthritis found himself in such a position. He worked until the physio said there was nothing more they could do to help him continue, so he had no choice but to claim benefits. He was called to a work capability assessment, the part of the process where an unqualified person assesses you without the use of any doctor's notes or specialist diagnosis. These assessments range from scary to absolutely terrifying, and this man knew what they were, so he took a witness. But he wasn't prepared for what was to happen at his. The assessor told him to get on a couch into the job centre so they could examine him. He wondered if this was normal procedure, but followed instructions, and he didn't want to put his only financial means of support at risk to the whim of the assessor. There were steps against the couch, and he asked that they be moved as they endangered the well-being of his arthritic joints. The assessor moved them, and he got onto the couch. The assessor attempted to bang his knee with a small hammer to test his reflexes, and he objected, citing the risk to his health. The assessor asked him to get off the couch, but had moved the steps back into place, causing him to fall and damage his spine. When he got back home, he rang the DWP, Department of Work and Pensions, and complained about his treatment. They immediately sent him the report from the assessor. When he and his witness read it, it contained 70 errors, even lies. He is now going through the DWP complaints procedure, which is currently taking approximately a year. This is more murder by the state. Never judge people who have little to nothing, as one day you may find yourself having nothing at all. Always respect one another, no matter what. Never look down on anyone. Telegraph. Britons in Italy face quarantine. There's the dirty, filthy Weinstein. Guilty. Flood zone might have to be abandoned, says Environment Chief. BBC youth push will turn off listeners. 30 hurt as car driven into German parade. The Guardian. Austerity linked to stalling life expectancy. No surprise there. Weinstein faces jail after being convicted of rape. Hollywood producer found guilty of sexual assault on young women. Lawyer says mogul 67 took verdicts like a man to vow a large appeal. Metro. Guilty. Weinstein is locked up at last. Rapist mogul faces up to 29 years in jail. Campaigners will hail huge Me Too movement. Let's see just how long it gets before we say too much about that, shall we? Prepare for pandemic. Authorities on high alert as Italy races to contain coronavirus. Candor, courtesy and confidentiality. Civil servant chief calls for end to Patel row. Open all hours. Long have the corner shop. Weinstein found guilty of sex crimes. BBC pledges to reflect diversity with new dramas. Oh no. Coming back to the Weinstein. Vindication for #MeToo movement as Hollywood mogul convicted of rape and sexual assault. Producer cleared of most serious charge in landmark trial. Campaigners hail new era of justice for victims of sexual misconduct. We'll see. Let's see what he gets before we say it's a new area or anything like that. Beating the bully. How to cope with toxic culture in the workplace. Hidden figures. NASA mathematically dies aged 101. Jenny Clear. Time's up for gossip magazines. Daily fail. Arrogance of a monster. Harvey Weinstein, expected to be cleared of sex crimes, telling friends, I pray the tides are turning, but today he's a convicted rapist and faces up to 25 years in jail. We'll see, like I said. Shotgun horror killing at Boris family estate. The Times. Coronavirus fears wipe 60 billion from value of leading shares. Stop moaning and get to a grip, doctors told by their leader. Shane mogul Weinstein faces up to 29 years in jail. Movie producer's conviction for sex crimes is watershed for Me Too movement. Well, it's like one's saying 25, one's saying 29, so neither of them seem to know what's really going on. Mirror. FA bans kids heading ball. Oh dear. Guilty. Sex beast Weinstein faces 29 years in jail. Royal split fallout. Fury at Harry and Meg's 20 million a year security bill. Spiralling cost of round-the-clock guards sparks row as cops say they can't cope. Oh, who foots the bill? Of course, it's us again. Express. Blizzard Britain. Vanessa Feltz. Dear Harry and Meghan, put a sock in it. PM demands clean break from Brussels. Boris lays down law to EU. Guilty of rape. Weinstein faces 29 years behind bars. Utter waste of paper. Peter Kay's dance party. Snowbomb blasts Britain. Sad dogs never had home. Win albums plus tickets. Yep. Testing my melon. Man slappy Mondays. Sean Ryder hair loss up to look sexy again. FT. Wheel and deal. Delhi protests hit Trump trip. Surging virus cases batters global markets as investors run for cover. Europe stocks lead falls. Evidence of infection spread. Italy, Iran, South Korea hit hard. Weinstein found guilty of sex crimes in verdict hailed by Me Too activists. Where are average things manufactured? They're satisfactory. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. A bear walks into a bar and says, give me a whiskey and a cola. Why the big pause? Asked the bartender. The bear shrugged. I'm not sure, I was born with them. If you're being chased by a pack of taxidermists, do not play dead. If you boil a funny bone, it becomes a laughing stock. That's humorous.